Hello and welcome back to another video on this channel, and today I thought I'd just give a bit of an overview of my thoughts and how I feel about the game's multiplayer of obviously Halo Infinite. Now before I jump into those thoughts, I just want to give you a bit of a background where I'm coming from and how much I've played Infinite currently. First, I'm playing mouse and keyboard on a PC. I've only ever played Halo on a controller, so there's been a bit of a learning curve, so bear that in mind as well. But as you can see, I'm on level 32 of the Battle Pass. I've not bought any boosts or anything like that, just the Battle Pass. I have been doing the weekly challenges, as you can see how my Spartan, this is one that was a weekly challenge, and so was this emblem or nameplate. And then in ranked, I'm midway through Diamond 3. I've played a lot of ranked games. Not particularly the best, but also not the worst is kind of where I'm coming from with that. Now also, if we go over to look at some stats just to give you a better understanding, and part of why I wanted to make this video is because the pros and cons, the good things, the bad things. One of the bad things before we even get anywhere into this video is the stat tracking, because there pretty much isn't any, or it's very, very limited. I've had to come to this website, which is halotracker.com, and you pop in your game tag and you can see your own stats or anybody else's. Your friends is quite good for tracking friends. So overall, I've played 244 matches and 37 hours of game time. My KD is not particularly good, but as you can see from the games below, we do win quite a lot of our games. I know it says 50% there, but I try and play the objective is what I'm saying. So that's something to bear in mind with the KD. And if we also look into ranked, yeah, you can sort of see where I stand there. So 16 hours in ranked as well, so a lot of ranked matches, almost 100. So with that in mind, and also the fact that I've played every Halo from Halo CE back on the original Xbox, all the way up to Halo 4. Actually, I didn't play 5, so bear that in mind as well. I've played them all the way through their own history, and also a lot on the Master Chief Collection on the PC. So I've put an awful lot of hours into this franchise, and it is absolutely one of my best. And I'm going to show you some clips, just generic gameplay that I've saved over the last couple of days. Okay, so it is Monday the 6th of December, and the game comes out in less than 2 days. Basically, it's pretty late on Monday, and I thought I'd just get these thoughts out before I jump into the campaign. Now, I know we're not expecting big changes to the multiplayer on the 8th when the game releases, but I don't know how long I'm going to be playing campaign. It may be a few weeks before I jump back into the multiplayer very much. And a lot may have changed there. They are saying they're going to add playlists and they're going to do bits and pieces. So I just thought I'd get my thoughts out now. Good pros and cons, basically, of this game. Good bits, bad bits. And I'll start straight away there, as I've already mentioned it. This is the playlists. And I don't want to go over what everybody else online has said. These are my own sort of thoughts, and I try not to repeat the consensus out there so much. But the playlists are really limiting, only because I can understand you having a beta, which is what they're calling this initial release, but when the full game comes out on the 8th, that is the full game. They've released it early is what they were saying, and the full game is on the 8th. So when that full game comes out, the fact that everything is going to be the same as the beta is just not good enough. And I think playlists are really one of those problems, because it's very, very limited. You might end up playing Oddball 3 or 4 times. You might end up playing Capture the Flag back and forth. You might rarely get a Slayer game if you're lucky. And whilst it is good, it mixes things up. After a couple of matches of Oddball, you get put into another one. You almost kind of don't want to play, and you kind of want to boot out and just reload it, which I think if I was playing a lot of casual, trying to do the challenges, I probably just would do that. In fact, a lot of people have to do that if they're doing the challenges, because sometimes you have to play Capture the Flag and you're stuck playing Oddball or Slayer, and you just have to back out and find a new game, and you're not punished for that in casual that I've seen. But obviously in ranked, you're going to take a big hit, which I just don't think is fair. The challenges are there for us to keep the game energized and fresh, but they've limited it right down. For a start, you can only have 4 going at a time. I remember before launch, they said that they'd be surprised if anybody could finish all the challenges before the next week or before the next season. Well, the season's, months long. We can't go back and do previous weekly challenges, so I don't really see how you can't do the challenge. I've done it 2 out of the 3 weeks, and I didn't even try the first week, so it's not particularly hard to do, but it's also not very rewarding. In fact, it's a bit frustrating, really, because XP is tied to that, and I'm not going to go into the problems with the progression and the getting through the battle pass. But that is obviously a major one that the community is not very happy with. So I'll mix this up and throw in some good comments as well. The actual core gameplay, when you're in a mode that you actually want to play, is unbelievable. There are a few little tweaky things they should change. They've recently just changed the collision to enemy players for when you melee. So you kind of bounce off each other rather than just slide straight through one another, which is a good little mini fix. But oftentimes I find myself meleeing, both players sort of bump out the way and no one knows where the other person is. It's not smooth, it doesn't look good, and it doesn't feel very good or satisfying. They still need to do some work on that. It's not just collision, there's like a magnetism to it as well, which they need to tweak. So that's another thing that is a negative that they need to look at further. However, the core gameplay, as I mentioned, is probably the best for me. It's really hard actually between any of the Halo games. 2, 3, even 4 is pretty good now after all the updates to it. It was horrible at launch. I'm not going to get into that. I hated it at launch, but it's actually a pretty satisfying game now. And of course Reach, I really like Reach. That's probably, if I had to jump in and play for 10-20 minutes, I'd play Reach, but not anymore, because Infinite seems to be the best out of all of them in terms of core gameplay. All the guns are very well balanced, and you can, as long as you know how to use them and not to just run head first into a gunfight, and to pick your timings to work as a team, you're going to get on well with these guns. Everything's balanced well, as I said. They just need to work on that melee. I also like the kind of little nuances they've tweaked. So we capture the flag. Before, it's just a rush to get the flag back. You could always see where the enemy was carrying your flag. You could always see them. Now, if you walk, well, even if you don't need to particularly walk or crouch walk anyway. You just go your normal pace, which is quite fast, and you won't be seen on the full screen. It's only if you run or throw the flag, which a lot of people do because it is quicker. But I like that kind of balance. You can pick what you want to do. It adds another layer of strategy to this game. So capture the flag is actually quite good, although in ranked, doing 5 captures is a bit much. I think 3 in the core gameplay mode, or the casual gameplay mode, is a perfect amount. I would say try and, if we could take that back down to 3, because often you only get 2, maybe 3 in ranked if it's a balanced game, and it might end up 2-1 or 2-2 or 3-2 maybe, or 3-1. But it's only really when players drop out that you end up getting all 5 captures. So they should really, I think, mark that down a couple of notches and just stick with 3 as in casual. So capture flag's a great mode. Moving on to Oddball, this is okay in short bursts. If I maybe played 1 Oddball match out of 7 or 8, I'd probably be quite content. Doesn't take that much teamwork, as long as everyone's staying together when you've got the ball, and all attack at the same time. It's not a particularly hard gameplay mode. There's not a huge amount of strategy. Obviously drop the ball if you're holding it to shoot when enemies are trying to attack you. Outside of that, it's a bit of a tedious one after you've played it so many times. And then of course Slayer is the team deathmatch. It's absolutely fine as a gameplay mode. I would like a Slayer list just on its own, or maybe mixed in with SWAT, which I believe is coming soon. I'm just interested to see how they play those playlists out to us. So there are your 3 gameplay modes, really. Now you also have, you have the Strongholds, where you have to capture the 3 points, and this one takes a long time to play through a match, if on ranked anyway, if everyone's working together. I only realised that you only score a point. Well, obviously I realised that you only score a point when you've got 2 or 3 zones captured, but if another team is capturing one of the zones, so you've got 2 and the enemy's got 1, and then the enemy starts to capture one of the other ones, it stops you scoring, so it just really lengthens the game out. It takes a long time to get through this game. I would rather you keep scoring until the enemy is completely captured the other point, because that would sort of speed things up a little bit, I think. It is very well balanced though, typically, if you've got all 4 players running well together, staying together. Don't even really need to communicate that much in the diamond ranked list that I'm in anyway. But it's a good game mode on most of the maps. Now some of them you seem to spawn nowhere near one of the points. It's a bit funky towards the end of the game. It's almost like the servers want the other team to win, or want you to win, and they spawn the other team on the other side of the map, and or on the other side of the middle of the map, so where B is, but on the opposite point. So you're away from A, B, and C, and it does get a little bit frustrating when that happens continuously. Other than that, though, it is a good gameplay mode. So there are your 4 gameplay modes. Obviously, you've got Big Team Battle. I'm not a huge fan of Big Team Battle. It's fun for a bit of chaos, or if I'm playing with a friend that maybe isn't as familiar with Halo and just wants to mess around in the vehicles, or just get into big gunfights. It's quite fun. But I haven't spent a huge amount of time in that, so I'm not really going to cover it. Other than, when I did spend some time in it, I would like some bigger maps, or at least bigger flat terrain, because you get a tank, or you even get a warthog or a mongoose, and the roads that you have to go down are so tight that you're just sitting duck basically, and you're going to get blown up pretty quickly unless you're very strategic with it. So I'd like some bigger, wider maps that are more suited to vehicles. So, outside of that, that's all the gameplay modes. Most of them pretty good. And as I said, again, the core gameplay is fantastic. I love almost all the guns. The shot rifle is the one gun that I can't use, and I just never probably will. Every other gun I would pick up and use in any situation. You just have to pick your spots, really. So, overwhelmingly, this game is positive on that note. Gameplay. Where it's let down is that we don't actually have that many maps. This is, again, a beta. Even if it was a full release, which it will be very, very soon, after 4 or 5 games, it does feel a little bit repetitive, because the map rotations are not great. You always seem to be playing on 1 or 2 maps continuously, and then maybe it will get a bit more varied. But I don't know, it just feels like there's not enough maps. I think there's 10, to be fair to it, if you include the big team battle ones. But I would say that they need maybe another 4 or 5 to really keep people engaged, because after 40 hours plus of playing, I've kind of seen every caveat to these maps, and I'd like something a bit fresher, maybe in the new year. I wouldn't even mind paying for some maps if it was DLC, to be honest with you. However, most of the maps are really good. There's 1 or 2 which I kind of groan when I have to play it, but I can sit in 1 or 2 go-throughs of those without it being too painful. And yeah, generally all the maps are good. They're well designed. There's a lot of layers to it. They've really worked with the vertical gunplay, especially when you've now got the grapple hook and the thruster to battle with, and obviously the clamber mechanic, which is actually really smooth. I'd like it to be a little bit quicker, but that's just my own thoughts on how you traverse the arenas. But it really works well, and I think they're really well thought out, so I really can't fault them too much. Something I can fault them with, though, is how the ranked progression system. Now, I'm not talking about the battle pass and the XP. Everyone knows that that sucks. But when you're playing ranked, it is very not clear, I think, is how I'd say. It's just not clear what you need to do to progress. Do you need to win? Do you need a good KD? Do you need a high score? Can you just get away with winning and having a low KD? And I think it's somewhat balanced, but I just like to have some transparency so I can actually see, right, if I score this much then and win, then I'm going to go up by this percentage. Maybe if I get a KD of +1 or +2, then I'm going to go up by this much. I just like to see how that's all calculated, because at the moment I've got no idea and I'm just trying to play for winning. And sometimes I go up substantially, other times I go up a small amount. And on the flip side, I also like to know how it's determined that you down rank and lose rank, because sometimes it's based off of just losing a game. Sometimes it's based off of losing a game with a really low KD and you lose loads. Sometimes you'll have that same scenario but you only lose a little bit. Sometimes what I'd really like is when players drop out or get booted out or their PC blows up and they're not in the game anymore. I'd prefer that game to just end, because it's 100% one-sided. I've never seen a team go down to 3 or 2 players and them win, or even really have much of a good KD ratio. I've been on the case where people have dropped out for whatever reason and you end up losing eventually, and it is really annoying that when you come back to the menu and you see the red little bar, you've actually lost rank. And I know it's not a lot usually, but it's still, the game should just be terminated. As soon as somebody's lost connection, terminate the game. It's not like casual where other players can jump in. I believe it's just locked, and if one of those players drops out, they're gone. The game should just end then, because I know it's frustrating, but it's more frustrating when you have to sit around for 3, 4, 5 minutes and wait for a game to finish when you know you're going to lose and lose rank. So even if they don't finish the games, I'd still like the rank to not be affected. Even if you want to, have it on the other side and say, well, if you were on the winning side with the 4 players against 3, your rank's going to go up. Yeah, it does, but I'd like that terminated as well, because it's not really satisfying and it's not really within the spirit of the rank progression, or at least it shouldn't be. So that's something they need to fix. I don't want this to be a huge video, but I think there's quite a lot more that I would like to say on this. Obviously, the customization is really, really poor. I'm not going to drone on about that like everybody else. I don't think it's as bad as what a lot of people have thought. It is slow to unlock the Battle Pass, but that's a good thing in some ways. I'd like to play this game for a long time, and I'd like to grind at it a little bit, but I'd prefer it if that was the case and we had skill-based progression. At the moment, it's just based on playing matches and doing random challenges, as I've said. That's not good enough, everybody knows that. But the actual Battle Pass, I'm quite content with. What I'm not content with is the store, of course. Not only are you having to buy bundles of legacy items, old equipment, I think they had Noble 6's gear in there that you had to spend £15 on or £12 on, which is absolutely ludicrous. You can't actually even break those bundles down. So if you just wanted to buy his chest plate, his little knife that he has, or maybe just buy his kneecaps, I wanted to buy some kneecaps. I would gladly spend £1 or £2 just on the kneecaps and not have the whole bundle, but you can't break it down. You have to spend the £15 and get everything that you're only going to use one piece of rather than all 7. So that store really has to change, and I know that's how they need to make their money. But at the moment, I'm not going to spend any money in the store until they give me some options that I actually want. I don't want to buy a full uniform, or I don't, if I want one camo for a vehicle, or a helmet, or a pallet for your armor, I don't want everything else that's with it. So I don't want all the coatings for vehicles and the coatings for guns, or visors. I just want that one bit. I don't want to buy it in a bundle that costs £10. I want to buy it for £2, and you'd make a lot more money doing things that way. And I don't know why they're being quite slow with how they're talking about their monetization. People are going to get tired of it very quickly. I think it's quite nice that at the moment they're responding, and every few days it feels like they're putting out tweets and notifications that they're improving this and they're working on this and timescales for this. But it's all woolly words at the moment. What they really need to do is put some physical timelines down that we can all see, and be more clear in exactly what they're going to do. At the moment, they've said they're going to put in some playlists here if they can before Christmas, and then some more in the new year at some time. And they're working on the XP system, but there's no time scale for that, and they don't know how it will look because, well, they haven't said this. It all ties into the monetization thing. So I think they just need to be really clear with us, because it's good they're talking to us, but that's going to get old very fast unless they give us some real key aspects to this, some real clear guidance on exactly what they're doing. And they don't have to be super exact with the timings, but they have to be fairly accurate with it, because they've done it before with the Master Chief Collection. They've given us a month. They've picked a month out of the year, and that's when that thing is happening. And they really need to do that here with Halo Infinite, otherwise the backlash will continue. To be honest with you, I'm pretty tired, so that's probably going to do it here. Quite enjoying Halo. Obviously, the amount I've played it within about 2.5 weeks, it's been tremendous, and I can't wait for the campaign. And please subscribe for more if you enjoyed this video. How do you feel about the multiplayer before release, or maybe even after release? And yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this, and subscribe for more. There'll be gameplay clips, campaign review probably at some stage, as well as just other tidbits that I will throw in from time to time. So hopefully I will see you in the next video.